Hey guys, come follow me time again. We're in Doctrine and Covenants chapter of sections 10 and 11. I always have trouble with that. And welcome to the oven, from the oven that is Hamilton, New Zealand. It's really, really hot, but it's been the hottest in our whole country, and it's been like a whole week and we're all dying, but never mind. It gives me an insight into what we'll get into later this year when they're in Nauvoo with all the mosquitoes and the malaria and the heat that exists in that area of that country of America. So, really, no complaints. Okay. On chapter 10, section 10 and section 11 are talking of no matter what Satan does, you're going to come off conqueror if you're with Christ, if Christ is on your side. And we're going back to, these are a little, we can't, it says even in the introduction that they're not exactly sure when this was given. It was about this time. Some might have been given in 1828, some might have been given in 1829, but it's been put in here after those other sections. So there's some, some of the revelation might have been given a bit earlier and then some a bit later, but they've smushed it together and made it this. And it all applies to the same topic, so let's talk about it. Okay, so specifically verses 1 to 33 of section 10 teach us that God will always prevail. It does mention that. So Satan prefers to forget that he exists. Doesn't he love that? He doesn't want us to think that he's there. He just wants us to think like he does. At minimum, he wants us to fail to recognize his efforts to influence and take us off track. He wants to take us off in this other direction, nothing to do with what we do. So this section confirms Satan is very real and actively opposes the work of God. So let's look at verses 6, 12, we've got 13, 20, 21, 24. So it's a bit mixed up. But honestly, I invite you to read the whole thing. It's really good. It's longer, but it's only 2 sections this week, so don't panic. But anyway, so verse 6, we'll get to verse 5 in the next one because that's good. There's sort of a... this is how Satan's going to attack you, but there's also antidotes given, and that's in insight number 2. So hang around for that. But this is Satan's going to attack you. Verse 6 says, "Behold, they have sought to destroy you, yea, even the man in whom you have trusted has sought to destroy you." So you can trust in people, and they will still seek to destroy you. He's talking specifically about Martin Harris here, sadly. Or even Martin Harris going to... Specifically, not Martin Harris is seeking to destroy Joseph Smith. No, the man that Martin Harris is trusted in is seeking to destroy him. It's just a unfortunate circumstance with that whole 116 pages. But as we know, big solution there. Verse 12, "And on this wise the devil has sought to lay a cunning plan that he may destroy this work." Put them by lying and just... No, he says in 13, "For he hath put into their hearts to do this, that by lying they may have caught you in the words which ye have pretended to translate." So they're trying to catch them like that. In 20, he says, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, that Satan has great hold upon their hearts. He stirreth them up to iniquity against that which is good." And in 21, "And their hearts are corrupt and full of wickedness and abominations, and they love darkness rather than light, because their deeds are evil. Therefore they will not ask of me." And in 24 there, "Yea, he stirreth up their hearts to anger against this work." 26 also, actually, "And he flattereth them and leadeth them along until he draggeth their souls down to hell, and thus he causeth them to catch themselves in their own snare." So Satan's going to attack you. Through people. He's going to try you directly, and then when you're strong enough, like Joseph's getting strong enough, Martin had some weaknesses. We can see at this point Oliver comes in midst of all of this, and he's pretty strong too, but even he has weaknesses as well. Satan will attack us in our weak places, and we need to fortify those, and a great teacher of that is Captain Moroni. Love that man. Alright, so how has Satan been getting your attention? This is what these verses are called to. If you read these verses that I said, so 6, 12, 13, 20, 21, 24, and 26 even. How has Satan been getting your attention? Where's he been coming at you from lately to try and get you? To try and make you feel less than, to try and derail you and get you thinking in another direction. Where's that been? Think about that. Where has he been tempting you? Where has he been telling you falsehoods? He always tells me I'm not good enough. And I'm like, no, I am. Jesus said I am. Jesus said I'm enough. And he's like, no, because of this and this and this. You did this today and you mucked up that. And he's like, no, Jesus still says I'm enough. And I'm constantly arguing with him over that one. But he will attack me mostly through other people because he knows that's my weak spots. And he knows those weak spots. So we need to fortify those weak places. But how can focusing on Christ and his gospel, and Christ's gospel daily, help us to resist and spurn Satan's efforts? Well, for one, we know that Satan is real. We absolutely recognize that if there is Christ, there is Satan. So if we're focusing on Christ and his gospel daily, then we know that there is Satan. So we're not forgetting that he exists. We're able to recognize him when he enters in more often than not. We're able to recognize his efforts to derail us, to take us off our path. We're able to resist those because we already have those standards set in place. We're already working on those things every day instead of neglecting them, so that when our weak places are attacked, they're not as weak as he thinks they are. Or there's backup beyond that. Or there's people we know, because we surround ourselves with those kind of people in living this way, that will help us support those weak spots. So there's some really great ways. What other ways? I'd love to know. Drop them in the comments. How do you resist and spurn Satan's efforts? By focusing daily on Christ and his gospel, because God will always prevail. Alright, so let's go to insight number 2, which is verses 34 through 52, although it does include verse 5. And we talk about the Lord's wisdom is greater. God's wisdom is greater, and he will prevail. Alright, I'll see you there.